Good morning. It is 21 minutes after 9 o'clock. And joining us in studio this morning from the Historical Society for Southeast New Mexico, John LeMay back with us. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Mike.
How are you doing today?
I'm recovering. I had a wild weekend in Vegas.
Probably not the Vegas everyone's thinking of the Vegas.
No, Las Vegas, New Mexico.
New Mexico.
It's just as wild.
Just as wild.
Yeah.
Just less places to lose all of your money in a short pound of time.
Yeah, for different reasons. Yeah.
That's right. But and then of course, maybe some folks know this, maybe others don't. Filming of what's the name of the movie now?
No Country for Old Men?
No, well maybe, but even older than that is the one with it's the one where the kids. It's in the 80s where the Wolverines and they take C. Thomas
Red
Howell's
Dawn.
Red Dawn. Thank you. The original Red Dawn was filmed in Las Vegas.
I forget
New
about
Mexico.
that.
Yeah, not the remake, the one they did about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The original one. I have no idea where the remake was done, but you were there not for these reasons, but for a historical reason for sure.
Yeah, they had a really cool. They called it the Billy the Kid Shootout. It was a film festival.
Okay.
They showed, I think, just about every Billy the Kid movie they could find.
Okay.
You know, they showed Young Guns, The Left-Handed Gun with Paul Newman.
Okay.
The Kid with Chris Pratt. They had a new movie, I think it was made in France, that premiered there. Or something.
Neat.
It was just, it was a lot of cool stuff. It was a great event. I hope they do it again. And
I'm just thinking, what would it be like to watch a French film about a New Mexico legend?
yeah.
That might be interesting. An interesting take on that.
I missed it because it ran from like Thursday to Saturday, and I only got there Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to see and all that. Was there, do people, I'm just curious, because it's kind of like a Billy the Kid Comic-Con a little bit, as far as, studying the history. I mean, it's not like Comic-Con where they in costumes, but my question was, or is it? I mean, do you get some folks that show up and they're like, dressing up in like Old West attire and stuff to get kind of into the spirit of the film festival or anything like that?
Well, it would be nice if it grew into that. This one, it just kind of showed up. I was there, I think from 2:00 on Saturday. I sat in on a little panel, and they had a lot of other cool experts there. I wanted to mention I got to meet Roy Young and Kurt House.
Okay.
And they just wrote a brand new Billy book. And the reason I'm bringing them up is they're going to be at the Roswell Public Library sometime Thursday, late afternoon or evening.
Okay, this Thursday.
Yeah, so since I don't know the time, just call the library and ask them when's the Billy the Kid talk. And it's just, like I said, sometime Thursday, late afternoon.
Okay, usually around 4, so...
Yeah, or it might have been in the evening. I'm not a very good listener. That's all that I retain. But they're great guys, and I wanted to support them.
Absolutely.
Really nice.
Yeah, so if you love that Billy the Kid, that lore, the history... It's so much fun to talk to people that study it their whole lives and get, because they get all the good nuggets of information. Just the little, to me, this is, and I'm sure you probably share this kind of love too. To me, one of the fun parts of history is learning the maybe the not so historical things about people, the quirks, the nuances, the things that kind of make them tick at the end of the day. The things that, and it's always stuff like, Billy used to keep his pocket comb in his left pocket, something, just something along those lines. I mean, that's not true. I'm just making that up. But along those lines, I love that nuance of history. Like for instance, Stonewall Jackson, we all know Thomas, the Confederate general, brilliant tactician, but he believed his body was lopsided. It wasn't like he believed his body wasn't symmetrical. Like his parts weren't lined up right. And he used to have bad stomach problem. That's why I always chewed on lemons. But he would sit in the saddle for hours at a time with one of his hands, I'm not sure if it's left or right, just sitting in the air, just waving. And people are like, what the heck is he doing? He's like, he's trying to balance himself again, trying to realign himself. And that's the kind of quirks that he had that, you don't really learn about till you start, digging into the real history and stuff. And so imagine an event like this, you get a lot of that kind of Billy the Kid information and things and talks like this.
Because I'm the complete opposite. I specialize in the untruths. So most of the other guys there, though, they specialize in the truth.
Sure.
So.
You're kind of trying to separate the fact from the lore.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I've had enough of it. It needs to be stated right now. I'm outraged. I'm infuriated.
Oh,
that
right.
all this love and all this attention has been given to a monster like Billy the Kid. He's been idolized in media over a generation, and it's infuriating. I, for one, won't stand for it anymore. Billy the Kid needs to be canceled. Are you guys catching the parallels?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure. I was sitting there and I was like, I wonder if anybody's going to cancel Billy the Kid the way we're canceling Dahmer.
I was just trying to go through the Rolodex of Emilio Estevez lines from the movie that I could throw back, and now like none of them really fit the mold. So I just kind of, I was like, you who will make you famous now.
But yeah, if we're outraged at Dahmer, we need to be outraged at Billy the Kid. There, I said it.
Very good.
Needs to be said. As you were, gentlemen.
By the way, I finished that series yesterday.
Of course you did, you psychopath.
I am. I'll talk about it later. But Sean's joking aside, but Billy the Kid, it's pretty cool to kind of to hear and see it. And I'm not proud of this. I've never been to the gravesite there in Fort Sumner. It's one of those things I've always wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I've just never made that trip up there to do it. Yeah. So one of these days, I've got to go up there and see all of the, because I know they got quite a bit of stuff for you to check out. I just never have made that trip up.
Yeah, only an hour and a half away, so it's not bad.
Yeah. To be honest, I've just recently started going through all the Fort Stanton stuff after all these years. I've been to Lincoln 100 times. And drove past Fort Stanton, and even stopped and looked at the cemetery for all the Merchant Marines. And I just never actually went into the fort till within the last year or so. And I've been kind of, learned a lot of cool stuff back here. Didn't realize it. So anyway, I'm a little off topic here, but that's part of what's great about this New Mexico history and all of this stuff. And of course, the Historical Society. We got a fun event. We want to invite people out here, but it's all in that vein of preserving the history, telling, and now we're just putting a little bit of a Halloween twist on it, kind of telling some of our more unusual tales and things of history, Old West history, things like that. And that's kind of like so that's what this event coming up here in a couple weeks on the 23rd is all about. Is you and Donna kind of telling, not ghost stories per se, but telling just historic tales that kind of have a Halloween vein to them, and things like that. So I'm curious, what's that process where you and Donna kind of go through and decide what tales, what stories will be fit for the event?
I'm sure Donna's probably going to talk a lot about haunted hotels that she did, just kind of some of the best of
wheelhouse,
that. And then she's probably got some new stuff that maybe she'll talk about.
Plus her Wicked Women series, her books there. I imagine there's probably a few tales that would fall into the Halloween genre from some of those characters that she's written about. So,
like for instance, there were these serial killers that lived in Kansas around the same era as Billy the Kid. They were called the Bender family.
Okay.
They were just like a regular nuclear family, mother, father, son, daughter, but they were serial killers. And they think actually that Kate Bender, the girl, moved here to New Mexico under an alias, and she was kind of known as like the Black Widow.
I must say she's been portrayed in stories before,
probably,
hasn't it? I've seen I've heard that name, Kate Bender, Black Widow.
Yeah.
I feel like in movies or books or something, I've heard that name.
Yeah.
In story, not in nonfiction, but in story form. So was there a Kate Bender in any of the Young Guns movies?
I don't think, probably somebody else, because she never tangled with Billy the Kid.
Okay, but I didn't know if they tried to crowbar it in there or something. I know in some movies, some westerns, that name has come across.
I'm going to do that in one of my books. But
Yeah, you already got, I'm not going to ask you because you can spoil the surprise, but you got plans?
Oh, yeah, it's no surprise,
But we love to invite folks out October 23rd. It's a Sunday from 2 to 3:30 in the afternoon, so it'll be after the early games there. You'll be good to go. But we'd love to invite you out. Donna and John, of course, they're going to be telling some different legend stories that kind of fall in the Halloween theme. I'm kind of curious. In the flyer here, you've advertised two of the stories. The Cursed Mummy of John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah.
Can you tease any bit of that story or give a little background? On that?
I'll just summarize it.
Yeah.
Basically, so John Wilkes Booth is just like Billy the Kid in that men surfaced claiming to be him after his death.
Yeah, his death, though, was in a public forum because a lot of people didn't see a body per se. a lot. Yeah, the legend that John Wilkes Booth was still alive years after his reported death is pretty almost as widespread as Billy the Kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so his claimant, his name was David E. George. He committed suicide in Oklahoma in about early 1900s.
Okay.
And he did it with arsenic. And so basically what happened is when the embalmer embalmed the body, when it combined with the arsenic he had used to poison himself, it mummified him more so than it would a normal person.
So it was it almost like pickled him in essence.
Yeah.
Like you would if you're taking cucumbers in a brine or something. Okay.
Yeah, and so he had confessed to being John Wilkes Booth right before he died. And you have to wonder, like, why would you do that? Except for maybe back in early 1900s, there might still be some Confederate sympathizers that would take pride in that.
Absolutely.
Perhaps.
Shoot, it's 2022 and there's still a few floating around. I mean, it's just,
Now, he kind of acted like he was ashamed of it, like he was confessing to a crime. So who knows? But
I'm guessing the fact that, he was dabbling with arsenic and things, there's probably some mental health problems there.
Ah, that's true.
From the get-go.
Yeah.
And this might just be an extension of that a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
It's because for folks that when we hear, but this is it. That's the tales because John Wilkes Booth, for folks who don't know, he's the assassinator of President Abraham Lincoln. His ending came to be when federal troops tracked him into Virginia, and he was staying at a farm there in Virginia. Someone had let him stay in the barn out there for a day or two, and they caught wind that he was there, and him and I think it was Atzerodt. I don't remember which one, but one of the co-conspirators was there with him, and I believe Atzerodt came out. He came out, surrendered. Booth did not, and so they surrounded him in the barn. And then they lit the barn on fire to try to chase him out. He wouldn't come out. And then one of the cavalry soldiers, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but according to his stories and things, he was deeply religious. And I'm talking to the point where he mutilated himself. He castrated himself. That's how, almost to the point of fanaticism. And he claimed, and there's witnesses to prove that he actually saw Booth through the cracks in the barn, stuck his pistol through the barn door, the slats in the barn, and popped a cap in him and killed him, and said he's the one that killed him. And then, of course, they dragged the body out and everything and all that. But that part of the story kind of gets lost because it doesn't meet the urban legend side of they didn't really get him. And so then you see things like he turns up in something years later and or like you said, a guy in Colorado or wherever that was makes a claim that, he was just kind of like Bushy Roberts and Billy the Kid. And by the way, sorry, Texans, I've seen enough documentaries on Bushy Bill Roberts, and there's a lot of similarities, but when you break down the bone structure, the things that really matter, none of it lines up. And that's probably the most truest thing that at this point in history we can tell to determine that's probably not Billy the Kid, but Bushy Bill Robert folks there. Just I don't want to pee on your parade there, but that's kind of been debunked. Yeah. But so this is that story of that guy, and then this one's got a little bit more local flair. I think the Navajo witch purge of 1878. Again, I don't want to hear the whole story, but just kind of set that story up on the background there a little bit.
Yeah, so they have I don't know if it's a myth, but just the idea of basically the Native American equivalent to werewolves. They call them skinwalkers. Okay. And the idea is it's like a medicine man gone evil who drapes his skin with like it drapes his flesh with like a predatory animal skin.
Okay, kind of like Indians were hunting. They would, when they would go hunting, they wear the skins and stuff as camouflage.
That's right. And see, it was a taboo thing to ever wear the skin of a predatory animal like a mountain lion or a wolf.
Okay.
So they didn't do that because they would think that you were a skinwalker.
Okay, that was kind of, I guess, sacrilegious. I guess would probably be the term. Interesting. So these were considered evil people because they broke the sacrilege of wearing the skins.
Yeah, and supposedly they would transform into the animal just like a werewolf.
Okay, that's where the legend meets reality here. Interesting. But the thing is, it might be just some serious mental health people that had some issues. And I'm very curious. Have you heard? I know History Channel has it. And I never put two and two together till just this moment. So I'm curious if it is 2 and 2. They have I'm sure you've heard of it. They've got a documentary show called like Legends at the Skinwalker Ranch and all. Is that the same when they talk of that that's the same stories we speak of, these skinwalkers? Is that different?
It's that and more. So
Okay.
it's really, when you get down to it, that ranch is more known for UFO activity, but it's on a Ute Native American like old reservation land or something, or tribal lands that
Okay.
was supposedly cursed, and
Okay.
they see a few skinwalkers there supposedly, but
Okay.
it's more UFOs.
So that's more of a melding of the two.
Yeah.
It's like come for the skinwalker, stay for the extraterrestrial kind of thing. Okay. It's just like a bag of creepy.
Oh yeah.
I got it. Okay. Now I get it. Because I mean, I don't know. Everyone has different beliefs and everything, but when it comes to spirits and spirit world and stuff, I do believe that when tragic events and tragic things happen at a certain spot, I think it does hold an energy and hold something that we can't explain or understand yet. And whether that's ghosts or some kind of energy imprint, I don't know, but there's something there we just don't understand. It's kind of interesting. But anyway, so these are just some of the stories. Of course, you guys will be hanging out afterwards, and if you want to get a copy of any of their books or have a book signing, or if you want to sit and chat with Donna or John about any of their stories and their books, because let's face it, between John and Donna, what do you got? 30, 40 books between the two of you?
Yeah,
Probably out for folks to check out.
I'll have some new ones there, because I've got one called Cowboys and Monsters,
Yes.
which is all collections of any newspaper articles that dealt with werewolves, mummies, or vampires in the Old West.
It's a great one because it's kind of, it's almost seeing paranormal history as it's being observed. And that's what I love about, because we've had this conversation before, like UFO sightings, aliens. We have a much better vocabulary of that kind of stuff today. So when we see something, we use those terms. But in 1842, if they come across a kind of anomaly, or they don't have the vocabulary we do to describe or understand that. So their stories probably sound more mythical, like it's some kind of beast or devil or something.
Yeah.
Where we're like, no, it's something from out of this world, but it's probably all the same stuff. You know what I mean? Is what it is.
Yeah.
We yet to learn all that. So to me, that's it. Almost these tales and these things that you talk of are as much important to the history, because it's historicalizing the unexplained.
Yeah.
And where it was chalked up as witchcraft or sorcery or whatever back then, we now know maybe it was something different.
Yeah.
And so that's what I love about that kind of stuff. So that's a good book for you to pick up. I definitely talked to John, pick that copy up. If you can't wait till the 23rd, you can probably get it online at the Historical Society's website right now.
I don't think I gave them any copies to sell, so I think that one would be like an Amazon one. But
Okay.
the day of, I'll do some sort of share with the society or something. Yeah.
Good deal. But and of course John goes into everywhere. So if you like obviously the Billy the Kid and stuff, he's got a whole series of those books. He does get into some of, like you said, the cowboys and aliens type thing, but also into like Godzilla and stuff. That's not Historical Society per se, but it's also written and done the same way you would also do a Billy the Kid book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nonfiction.
Yes, it's not saying, here's the thing about Godzilla, here's a bunch of cool pictures of Godzilla. Isn't Godzilla cool? No, it's the evolution of Godzilla, what Godzilla is here versus what it is in Japan, and those kinds of the lineage, the history, the how did it come to be that we all know about a big green lizard that stomps Tokyo. Why do we know about that? Why is it so part of the lexicon even today? And that's what I love about your books and things like that.
Thank you.
And then, by the way, we gotta talk up Donna's books too, because where John goes in the world with this kind of stuff, Donna, like the Wicked Women and these ghost stories and things, she loves to go on these adventures and see these places.
So I was about to say, Donna actually leaves the house to write her books. But this is the other funny thing. So I went up to Las Vegas, like I said. I went with Jason Garcia.
Yeah.
And just by sheer coincidence, we were looking at Donna's Instagram, and she was in Mora, New Mexico on Saturday. And so we hit her up, and we're like, hey, we're in Vegas. And so she came over Sunday morning, and we spent the day together hanging
Nice.
out, and we got to see some cool stuff. We went to Montezuma Castle in Las Vegas. I don't know if how
I
many
am not
listeners.
familiar with that. No, I am not.
It's the strangest thing you can imagine because it's this big world college school that even King Charles is involved with.
Okay.
And it's like, why would King Charles be involved?
So it's got
with,
an international footprint or imprint. Yeah.
yeah,
okay.
it's like, why would King Charles be involved with a school in Las Vegas, New Mexico?
There's
it's
a lot of questions
Really
there.
cool. So yeah, we got to drive by it and check it out. It looks like an English castle in the hills of New Mexico. It's really
Interesting.
odd.
You
yeah.
always wonder if it's just like these dignitaries, these people of importance or wealth.
Yeah.
They come here on a vacation or some kind of trip, and they fall in love because let's face it, the land of New Mexico is very unique compared to the rest of the
Yeah.
world. We live it every day, so we kind of take it for granted.
Yeah.
But not a lot of people have majestic mountains
No.
trips and just you can see for miles and just beauty, openness, and it's remote and desolate, but it's quite beautiful to see.
Yeah.
And so when you live in England or you're anywhere in Europe where everybody's on top of everybody or it's raining or whatever, and then they come out here and it's like, wait a minute, you can literally sit by yourself and see for hundreds of miles and not see another human being. And that's, so it leaves an imprint on people.
Yeah, and its history you can tie into Billy the Kid too, because some people might be like, "Why Las Vegas for a Billy the Kid film festival?" Well, Billy would go to Las Vegas to gamble. Supposedly, he met Jesse James there, which is cool.
So it was kind of a party town for the cowboys
and,
back in
and
the
the
day.
spot where Billy gambled is basically where the Montezuma Castle is today, because it used to be a hotel. It's got an interesting history in that they sometimes call it the Phoenix, because that hotel, it always looks basically the same. Always looks like a castle, but it's burned down and been rebuilt about 3 times now,
Oh, really?
which is weird. But yeah, so it just started out as a huge hotel, gambling resort, and then it was abandoned. And then once it was abandoned, it was acquired by the Arm and Hammer World College, and that's how King Charles got involved. And,
Okay.
so, yeah.
So today, is it a museum or is it a...
No, it's a functioning school. Like
now,
these
okay.
kids go there. It's like you're a senior in high school, and it's like a senior / freshman college combo, and it's
Okay.
kids from all over the world. I think about 200 of them
Interesting.
every year.
I've not heard any of
Yeah.
that. That's amazing. And that's literally in our own backyard.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Again, this is why I like historical side in these events. You learn so much about your own community, and you learn why it's the way it is and what it is. And we're going to have fun, tell ghost stories,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But really, it's just more of that. It's more of learning where you grew up in, learning where you live in, and learning the good, the bad, and the ugly. All of it. The history's history. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's our job to study it, understand it, and learn from it.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those events that's just so great about that because, and what I'm hoping is it gives you, now you hear Donna talking all these stories and places that she's been and seen. I hope it lights a little fire and says, you played. I mean, you don't have to go to Donna's level and start, hitting every ghost town and everything, but it gives you an idea to say, I need to plan a trip. I need to go, hey, let's start with Lincoln. We'll go to Lincoln this weekend and check Lincoln out. Or, hey, we're going to go and I don't know, just go west and go check out some of the stuff in the western half of the state. Whatever.
Yeah.
Just pick something, There's just so much there. So, but start by coming out to the 23rd.
Yeah.
And of course, now it's just hearing stories and then, of course, book signing and book purchasing afterwards and talking. No big scavenger hunts or anything.
No.
It's just come and hear some strange history tales and things like that. Which, if you love hearing these stories and love hearing about it, please come out. Are you guys charging anything, or is just
No, I think the society will just benefit from the book sales.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you'd like to make a donation to the Historical Society, though, there will be people there to do that. But you're not obligated or required. To be honest, if you really want to help, come and buy something afterwards. Come and get your appetite wet for something we're talking about, and then do your own kind of next level exploratory on that and buy a book or do something. We'd love that. Would be very helpful to us. Not even so much for the whatever amount of money you spend on the book, but the fact that you are living, breathing, and participating in the history of this area. So that to me is just as important. So, by the way, go to roswellnmhistory.org. That is the Historical Society's website. It is a great resource, not only to learn more about this event and all of our other events, but buying books. I know the holiday season's not far away. Peter Hurt prints, things like that make great gifts. We've got gift options for you when you start thinking about holiday shopping here pretty soon. And then, of course, if you need a meeting space, our archives facility, the facility that you'll be at here on the 23rd, that's available for it seats comfortably about 75 people. It's got a kitchen, got everything else. So if you need that for a meeting space or a small party or event like that, think of the Historical Society. That's all ways to help support and enjoy the Historical Society too. So, is there anything we missed? What about you and your books? What are you working on right now? Problem is do you take breaks between books, or you just literally crank one out and then there's another one? I mean,
I might take a break for a day, you know what I mean? Something like that, but yeah.
I mean, it's like, what about your new book? That was 2 new books ago. I got another one here. You're like, man, they come out fast. So what are you working on right now?
I started a little tiny, you'd call it a digest magazine, because we think of magazines as big, but you know how National Geographic was kind of smaller? Yeah. So I started a little digest magazine called Strange West.
Okay.
Which is just more strange Western tales.
But more in like a short story form?
Yeah, or shorter articles that just maybe, and they sometimes escape the scope of the books I'm working on. Okay. So they didn't fit, but I wanted to write about them.
Sure.
So, yeah.
So it's scratching an itch for you, but also giving people a chance of getting like a history hodgepodge.
Yeah, like for instance, I found this cool story about the son of Albert Fountain finding gold along with the bones of a giant sloth in this cave in White Sands.
Wow. Which
doesn't fit my dinosaur books because the giant sloth was dead, but it's a cool story. You know, you found prehistoric animal bones and gold in a cave. Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Yeah. So, again, this is part of that beauty of what this state is. Because we're not the East Coast and there's civilizations after civilizations that have been kind of living on those grounds. I mean, we don't have that, we've got, our history is much older, but much more sparse, if that makes sense. And so for you to find relics of something from thousands of years ago, you're going to have a much greater chance of finding it here than you would, say, in Virginia or Maryland. Don't get me wrong, they do archaeological digs, but that's more about ancient civilizations. You start learning about Jamestown people, things like that. Here you're learning about dinosaurs or native tribes that have been here for thousands of years and things like that. So it's kind of different. Excuse me. Again, RoswellNMhistory.org is the website. Come on by the Historical Society. They're on Lee Street. 200 North Lee, I believe, is the actual address for the museum. Yeah. It's right next door.
Same parking lot, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so come and be a part. And of course, don't forget, if you'd like to do a tour or something like that, reach out. We still offer private tours. We don't have it open set hours right now. It's you call us, say, hey, I got family in town. Can we schedule a tour? We'll be happy to make those arrangements, get that done for you. All we ask is a little donation just to, cover costs, and whatever you feel is worthy of that, we'd be very thankful for. So, and another great way. But come on out again, October 23rd, Sunday, 2 to 3:30 p.m. at the Historical Society's Archives facility, which is there on Lee, right next door to the house. And come out for John LeMay and Donna Blake Burchell as they share spooky Southwest history stories, ones that you may have heard part of but didn't hear the whole story, or people you may have heard of but didn't know this about them, things like that. So come check it out, and then stick around for a book signing and a meet and greet with John and Donna afterwards. So, and then come with your own tales. If you've got stories of New Mexico and you don't think maybe John or Donna have heard, tell them, share them. Yeah. You might just spark an idea for one of their next books or something like that. So, because that's how you guys gather history just as much, especially for here. It's I knew so-and-so here who grew up here, and this is the story. And then that kind of gives you your leads, and then you do your digging from there to kind of put fact to your story. And that's how they do this. So bring it. Is there anything I missed, John? Anything?
No, I'll just remind anybody that came in on the tail end of this again about the Roswell Public Library talk
Yes.
Thursday for Roy Young and Kurt House on their new Billy the Kid book. So,
Excellent. And they'll be there Thursday afternoon. Call the Roswell Public Library for any kind of more information details. They're always free talks at the library, so I know they're not going to charge. But usually they do them in the Bondart room, and then the Friends of the Library are kind enough to provide some light refreshments for folks. And, and then they come and enjoy a great talk here. So, and this one's all about B to the K.
Yeah, B to the K.
Billy Kid. So, very good. Well, thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
As always, appreciate the visit. We'll see you here next time. And take a break once in a while. Go in between writings. Go on a trip with Donna so you can smell some roses. Thanks, John. Appreciate you. It is 9:52. We're going to pause for